My name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD89 VA Claims Consulting, Leave No Vet Behind, and also I'm a United States Army veteran. Today I'm bringing you another educational video as it pertains to the VA disability compensation claims process. And today I'm going to be talking about ACE examinations, some pros and cons of this type of exam, C&P exam, and some ways I've seen this exam used. Okay, so before we get into today's video, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Also, you can follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So today's video, what is the ACE exam, some pros and cons to it, and some ways I've seen this used when veterans submit claims. But before I get into some slides, ACE. ACE stands for Acceptable Clinical Evidence Examination, okay? So sometimes when veterans submit claims, the VA, when they request the C&P exam from the third-party contractor, that third-party contractor can sometimes complete an ACE exam, but it's only for certain exams. There are certain exams that prohibit the third-party contractor from completing an ACE exam. So I have 3 slides for you, and we're going to go through, do a little bit deeper dive into what are ACE exams. So slide number 1. Here's slide number 1. It's examinations based on ACE, and it reads, in lieu of scheduling an in-person examination, VHA, which stands for Veterans Healthcare Administration, and contract examiners generally, subject to some limitations, have the option to complete a DBQ, disability benefit questionnaire, based on review of existing paper and or electronic medical evidence. So keep that in mind, based on review of existing paper and or electronic medical evidence. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in this video, okay? Then it goes on to state they may also conduct an interview with the claimant. Examinations based upon medical records and history without an in-person clinical examination or testing are known as ACE examination or the ACE process, okay? Again, acceptable clinical evidence examinations. Sometimes the third-party contractors can, like they stated, can complete this, can do this type of exam to complete the DBQ, okay? But again, there's sometimes that the examiner can and cannot do this type of exam, okay? So the next slide, slide number 2, talks about categories of examinations for which the ACE process is prohibited, okay? So the ACE process is not available in the following categories of examinations. Examinations when necessary electronic medical records are not available for examiner review. Again, examination when necessary electronic medical records are not available for examiner review. Separation health assessment in support of IDEAs and BDD claims. IDEAs and BDD claims are when active duty personnel files a claim before they leave their active military service. General medical examinations, initial and review traumatic brain injury, TBI, examinations, and mental disorder examinations, okay? And then it gives an exception and talks about the ACE process may be used to, and I'm not going to read all those, but I'll just leave it up for a few seconds so you, the viewer, can review it. Now, there's a lot of information in M21, 38 CFR, VA's website on ACE. I only went out and captured three sections from the VA website to talk about today. So I always encourage my subscribers and anyone viewing this to go out and do additional research so you can educate yourself on the ACE examination and or ACE process, okay? Now, slide number 3. Here in slide number 3, it says that examination request and ACE. Excuse me. And this is instructions for the individual at the VA that is requesting exams. And it states, when entering examination request in Capri. Now, Capri is a program that VBA, Veterans Benefit Administration, that goes in and they can see the veterans' progress notes over on the VHA side, Veterans Healthcare Administration. Now, years ago, they used to request exams through Capri. I think the VA uses their VBMS system to go through and request those exams now. I don't know if they still use Capri for that, but here in this instruction, it states when entering exam request in Capri, ensure the examination request specifies that the ACE process is permitted, or clearly states that the ACE process may not be used and an in-person examination is required to complete the DBQ. Now, there are some other exams out there that the ACE process can't be used. For example, musculoskeletal. Okay, so if the veteran's claiming a back, knee, neck, or whatever, then that range of motion needs to be tested, right? Now, there could be some range of motion and some evidence somewhere in the veteran's claims file, could be. But if it's not, then yeah, you know, they need to go in for that exam, for that range of motion to be, needs to be tested, can be tested. Now, here's another exam that I think that is borderline, but in my opinion, it should, you know, an ACE process can be done, but at a minimum, that examiner should call that veteran. And that's a neurological exam for migraines. And here's why. Here's the reason why. What if there's no recent, or, you know, just no evidence in there? On that exam, it asks a couple of questions. How many completely prostrating attacks do the veteran have monthly? Does it interfere with the veteran's employment? Now, let's just say there is evidence in the veteran's file that states how many very completely prostrating attacks there is. But what if there's no evidence in the file that the veteran, you know, or if the migraines impact the veteran's employment? And let's just say that veteran filed FMLA through their job maybe 30 days ago and hasn't sent that in to the VA. Well, the examiner wouldn't know that unless they pick up the phone and call, okay? So I think there are some other reasons out there when this exam could or could not be used where it could not go in favor of the veteran, okay? Excuse me. So I talked about the ACE process, but again, there's more information out there. Each veteran has to go out and do their own research and get educated on this process. Now, pros and cons. I have a list here, and I'm going to go over the cons that I believe for this particular exam, ACE examinations or ACE process, okay? The examiner could not have all the facts without speaking with the veteran. I just talked about that when I was showing you the last slide. At a minimum, I think in some of these exams where these examiners say, yes, I'm going to do the ACE because there's some information in there, at least pick up the phone and call a vet just to clarify because something could have changed recently, okay? The second one, not all veterans get treatment at the VA. I don't know why some VA employees and even third-party contractors think that all veterans go to the VA and get treatment. That is not true, okay? So again, if a third-party contractor or even a VA C&P examiner is completing the ACE exam, at a minimum, when they're doing it, you know, why not pick up the phone, call the vet, it may take 15, 20 minutes just to clarify some information, okay? Third, this may be requested even when the veteran has an acceptable and sufficient DBQ and or nexus. Now, I talked about this, I want to say November of 2021 in a video, I think I named it, Why Are Some VA Adjudicators Not Using Veterans Acceptable insufficient DBQs and or nexus statement. And I've seen this here recently, okay, where veterans are saying, hey, I submitted a DBQ and or nexus statement. It was good to go, and they were, the VA requested an ACE examination. And then they used that ACE examination against the veteran's private examiner's DBQ, okay? So I don't know if this is going to become a trend. I've only seen it in a couple of veterans so far, but it's just veterans that reached out to me that I had this conversation. So again, this is another reason why the veteran should be educated on all aspects of the VA claims process, because you never know when that particular aspect is going to impact what you're doing with your claim, okay? Then fourth, the examiner may sometimes use old evidence in the vet's file to complete the exam. You heard me talk about it a little bit earlier. What if there's evidence in the file from 10 years ago, and then you have an examiner trying to complete a DBQ through the ACE examination process and using evidence from years ago? And I just, I'm not a medical provider, okay? And I'm pretty sure I know each exam, each claim is a little bit different. But even if the evidence is over a year old, there could be something recent that examiner that's completing that DBQ does not have. So again, in my opinion, there should be at least, at a minimum, a phone call to clarify some information. It would be hard for me to believe that an examiner would say, oh, yeah, I'm going to use ACE because there's information in the veteran's claim file from 5 years ago. And let's just say it's for, diabetes. And at that particular time, the veteran only had, let's just say he was only taking metformin. But since then, the veterans had some toes or limbs amputated, their own regulation of activities, restricted diet. A lot of things could have changed. So at a minimum, I believe that examiner should pick up the phone and call the vet just to verify, because you never know when somebody's medical condition has changed and maybe took a turn for the worse, okay? So, pros. And I broke these pros up for the examiner and for the vet. So let's just start with the examiner first. What are some pros to doing an ACE exam for these examiners? Does not have to see or talk with the veteran in some cases. So if an examiner is not an advocate for a vet, he or she may say, you know what, I can do an ACE exam. This particular exam is not permitted. I don't have to listen to the vet. I'm going to go ahead, regardless of what information is in there, evidence is in there, I'm just going to use to complete this entire DBQ, okay? And then they can get done a lot faster, okay? Because they're not talking with the vet. They're not talking with the vet over the phone, more than likely, and the vet is not at the exam in person, okay? And then for the vet, what are some of the pros for the vet? Now, I had to think about this, and it took some time for me to think about it. I don't think there's any pros for the vet, because I think it's a disservice to the vet that the examiner is not giving that veteran ample time to reasonably articulate their symptomology for the condition that they're claiming, okay? You heard me talk about it earlier. Why not at least pick up the phone, call the veteran, and just clarify some information? Because, again, don't know if the veteran's situation has changed recently, and also there could not be any evidence that the veteran submitted for this particular condition, okay? So I hope you found this video educational, informational. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.